Making remarks like that are key things that affect the way you think and affect your behaviors as well. Ageism in the workplace. Why does it exist and how do you eradicate it? My name is Grace, host of the Career Revisionist podcast and founder of Mastery Insights, where I help savvy professionals to build careers of significance and expand that into living a life of fulfillment. So maybe you've been working in the same company or the same industry for 20 years, you've been known for something and you want to be known for something different. Maybe you're starting to notice this trend that your employers or companies are starting to hire younger candidates. Maybe you get this feeling in your heart that it's time to transition to something new, a new career direction, and then your brain reminds you of your age. So this is, if you are experiencing ageism, that's what I want to talk to you about. For those who are experiencing ageism and you are feeling that as an older candidate, it is harder, or it seems like it is impossible to move to a different career path. That's what I want to be talking to you about today. Now, it's easy to accept a defeatist point of view, especially if you've experienced being treated as less capable the older your appearance suggests that you are. But it's important to know one thing. The truth about ageism is that it occurs across the entire age spectrum. Both younger and older individuals will experience ageism. I remember when I first entered the workforce, when I was in my bachelor's degree, between degrees, I always was applying for summer jobs. And I wanted a summer positions that would accelerate my career. I wanted to choose something that was relevant and related to give me skills to be able to establish myself in the future. And every time that I had applied for positions and I got an interview, I always felt that there was an experience where they looked at my age and I was young, I was 21, 22, and I felt that there was a feeling that I didn't have enough experience or I didn't have enough maturity. So you see, younger people always also experience ageism, but it's more common to hear about stories and to hear about perspectives from older people experience ageism. But it's important to recognize that it doesn't matter how old you are, which end of the spectrum you are, ageism is experienced across the age spectrum. Well, I have some good news for you. The fact is, our age is not a barrier to work performance. Decades of neuroscience research shows that with age, it does not mean that you are less effective at work. It does not mean that you are less energetic or less ambitious or less capable to fulfill your job functions. There's no evidence of that through decades of neuroscience research. In fact, our brain is innately capable, as our brain's structure, we are capable as we age to adapt to the changing environment. We are capable of learning new things. In fact, there is no limit to our potential and what we are to learn. And the brain does this through adaptation in a process that neuroscientists call neuroplasticity. So with neuroplasticity, our brain can mold itself and adjust to learning new things. So with that said, the myth is that as we get older, that we're less capable, that we're less energetic, and that we're less able to learn new things and take on new responsibilities, but that is not true. So with that in mind, when you hear that, you should feel more empowered and feel less defeatist as you get older, as you want to try new things. Go ahead. Don't feel that you are limited because of your age, because there's no evidence that suggests that there's a cap on your potential. So why does ageism happen? Studies on ageism in the Journal of Gerontology show that ageism is as a result of biases, as a result of stereotypes, negative stereotypes that we hold, or self-stereotypes that we hold on ourselves and other people. And they happen without the individual's awareness. So a person could be exhibiting ageism points of views and perspectives without their own awareness. So let's say that an employer chooses not to hire somebody, and that person's appearance, that candidate's appearance, appeared on the older spectrum, and that employer chose not to hire him. And if a third party, were to ask that employer, why did you choose not to hire them? What happens in that employer's mind is that they see themselves, if they see themselves as a fair individual, they see themselves as a rational individual and as an ethical individual, then they are more likely to give their reasons for not hiring the person, and they would not talk about it's because of their age. They would give some other reason other than an ageist response. And the reason why is because if they have a self-image, of themselves that they are reasonable, that they are ethical, then they would not go against that self-image. right? So they are unaware of any ageism that did occur subconsciously when making that hiring decision. So in essence, that employer is more likely to attribute their reasons not to hire that candidate for reasons that fit their own self-image as being a reasonably fair individual. So they might attribute their reasons for things like not enough work experience or not the right cultural fit. One of the most interesting things about having stereotypes about age is that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And here's what I mean by that. Older individuals who are exposed to negative stereotypes about their age, those individuals are more likely to experience memory lapses. They're more likely to have lowered memory or lowered performance. That is exactly what people expect of older age, which is not true, right? And so here's the thing. If you internalize the way people treat you and you are experiencing these negative stereotypes and you accept them to be true, they become a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So the way people treat you and the way you internalize that as a result, it doesn't just affect the way, it doesn't just affect that your body and your appearance and your external qualities. It affects the way you perform. It affects the way that you show up in the workplace as well. And when younger people see that, when younger candidates see that, or employers see that, it just reconfirms their notion, just subconsciously reconfirms their notion of ageism, right? The point of view of all the stereotypes. It's just a reconfirmation that this was what they believe to be true and that it is indeed true. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it creates this cycle of negative stereotypes about ageism. So how do you eradicate ageism? The first pillar to eradicating ageism is to take an honest look, an honest reflection on how do negative stereotypes about age, how does that infiltrate into your own behaviors and into your own thinking? So the key to doing that is to resist those ageist remarks, to resist those ageist messages that will constantly be out there and we have no way to stop them. And to do that, it's about feeling optimistic about getting older. I mean, there's many positives to getting older, to having that level of maturity, that work experience, and having life experience. So learn how to be comfortable with it. Learn how to see the benefits of it and learn how to embrace getting older. And then, of course, is to challenge your own assumptions about age. Challenge your own assumptions about getting older. And don't fall into the traps of saying things like, oh, you know, I must have had a senior moment, or that was me getting older, oh, don't forgive me, I'm having an aging brain here. You know, making remarks like that are key things that affect the way you think and affect your behaviors as well. Because when you say those words, although you're joking, maybe you are trying to accept and to fit in, maybe you are just making a casual remark, but these words are very powerful, right? Words are very powerful, so be careful what you say and don't fall under the trap of making ageist jokes like that, because it gives other people permission to see it that way. Right? They might not know that you're joking, or they might actually take it to heart and take it seriously in some way. So challenge your own assumptions about ageism and what it means to get older. I want to hear from you. Comment below if you have experienced ageism. And as well, if you enjoy this content, give me a thumbs up and remember to ring that bell and subscribe to my channel so you receive notifications each time I upload a new video. And if you have experienced ageism in the workplace and you are trying to transition to something new, you want to be known for something else, I invite you to a free training that I've done. It's a 4-day free training. Just go to that and learn how you can accelerate your career, learning principles of business development. And just go to that link. It is careerrevisionist.com/training. The link is below, and I'll see you there. Another pillar to eradicate ageism is to look for evidence on the contrary. Look for evidence that disproves the foundation of ageism. Let me give you an example. Here's one example of evidence that disproves it. While millennials are great at understanding technology, they're more tech savvy, baby boomers and Generation Y have work experience and maturity. Here's another one. Older generations bring business wisdom, life wisdom, and the resilience to weather the increasing pace of change. And here's yet another example I'm going to give you that disproves the foundation of ageism. Here it is. We all, as a human race, as human beings, we all have the desire to learn, to grow, and to develop personally. And that has less to do with age, and it has more to do with personality. The next pillar to eradicate ageism is not to make age an issue. So you have control over what you talk about and what you don't talk about. So try to avoid bringing age into the conversation. Just don't make it an issue. And if someone else does, be prepared to speak on it. If someone else brings that up, age is an issue in an interview or in a conversation, just try to divert the conversation back to your experience, your work experience, and how that's an asset rather than a liability. Be strategic as you're searching for new career directions, a promotion, or a new job function as well. And when you are searching for your focus, your career focus, focus on opportunities that highlight that where you were an agile learner, where you adopted to technology, where you were resilient in the face of change. And when you are talking to individuals, when you're talking to potential employers or prospective employers, tell them stories of how you adopted to that change, how you showed resilience, how you were an agile learner, and how you continue to confidently develop your career. And of course, throughout your career journey, you want to build relationships with people. You want to build a network that is multi-generational. And as you do so, becoming more sensitive to the needs of other people. And when you do so, you can also stand up and be confident of expressing more of who you are and highlighting your experience and the value that you bring to an organization across generations. About having stereotypes. Oh, I tripped.